I came across something in the physical. I was scrolling through the internet a little bit, and I came across people were talking about this video game. Now, the video game's not so important, but it was one of the features within the game, and that was that it was a part of the horror genre. So it was kind of like, again, a scary video game. But in this game, there was these monsters, these creatures, and I remember I didn't really want to read about it because I have to be very careful at kind of the content that I interact with sometimes. But something told me to read it, to read about the monster and to read how it works. And so I was like, okay, so I'm going through the article, and the way that this monster in the game worked was there was only one monster in the whole game, but based on the character that you played in the game and the kind of choices you made, what you were looking at while playing the game, the monster changed shapes. It would change shapes to basically match your play style, and so it was interactive in that way. And depending again on kind of like the consciousness of the person, it would mold and shape into different things. And I was reading kind of like the history about the little monster and how it came to be, and that the whole point of it is that it wasn't necessarily a monster, but it was actually a sensor. It was a representation of a sensor from one of the daughters' mind, basically just kind of acting like a guardian for her little fantasy world that she doesn't want to let go. That's why it attacks people. Well, long story short, after reading all of that and then kind of digesting it, that same night when I'd put the body down, I had an experience where essentially that's very, very real. Those creators of the video game, even though they might not have seen it in a universal view, they were actually helping people wake up to a lot of what's happening on, at least one part of their multidimensional lives, and that when we're being attacked, and this is what I could see, that when we're being attacked by these things that we think, are entities or other people, or like, again, for me, a lot of the time it was this Edward Scissorhands character that I would always run away from. I was always running from it, as I first came into the NUUU, and I finally had dealt with it, as the months went along. But what I had learned was, again, that was myself. Really, it was one of the sensors from my mind, that's something that I had created because I was unwilling to continue on or to see what was next or to see what was new. So I was really getting through myself. So again, when these things attack us, it's not really attacking us, and they can't really actually hurt us, but all they can really do is kind of take us back and hold us back, as we run from them or we don't face it and certain things like that. We become kind of agreeable to the influence of it and step back in that way. So I just wanted to share that. I thought that was really, really interesting, and so, yeah, just wanted to share. Thank you.
No, that's very good, Jeremy. You've picked this up so fast, and you see it's so cool. And then, yeah, that sensor part in your dream visions, go over that, how we create this sensor within ourselves, but we don't recognize it. The old idea is that it's your conscience. Okay, the old saying is let your conscience be your guide. But then again, if you're raised by thieves, your conscience is according to that. If you're raised religiously, it's according to that. If you're raised, however, it's according to that. But again, it's all, for the most part, made to create confusion, but to not be able to identify that. But yes, you had identified that, and just by the very fact that I remember when you were going through some things, I said, just face it. And then you did, and these guys that were bugging you, trying to get into your house on the real side, the personal consciousness, they went away. Yeah, because this is how the world, when you really look at it, people think in the terms, they've been marketed with the idea that, oh, the governments and the military and all these things, and the cabal, whatever, the so-called authorities, the Vatican, the monarchy, they have power. They don't have anything. It's all illusion. They promote fear because they are the most afraid. That's very, very real. See, it's just like a person who promotes love. They're a loving person, but if they promote fear, it's because they're afraid themselves. And so they have learned how to control others through the fear, and they also use the different systems they create. 300 years ago, basically on the earth, and before, we'll just use the United States as an example. We didn't have money. We didn't have all these things, etc. We didn't have all this nonsense. And you see how the societies are created, just as the United States is an example, and it was created as a front country for the monarchy and the Vatican to rule the world. And this is what people don't know. So they created all these cute little stories, the pilgrims coming over here, what's his name, Christopher Columbus discovering America, which he did, and he went to the West Indies or somewhere and then diseased everybody, brought in the missionaries, ruined people's lives, etc. They always bring in the religion because it's sacrificial, etc. When you really start to see what's really going on and really discover the history, it's not as you seem, and it's all about agreement. That's all it is. And you just simply stop agreeing. And so it doesn't mean that your physical body isn't going to get hurt, but as you have the real guidance now, you have that protection when you have the courage to step up and be real. So look at all the things we're doing, Jeremy, and why aren't we gone? A lot of doctors and therapists and herbalists and people have been destroyed over the years, etc., because they've tried to bring things out to heal people, or they've been told to get out of the country, etc., by the pharmaceuticals and the FDA and etc., because they want people drugged, they want them dumbed down, etc. And so when you step up and have the courage to do so, interesting things start to happen, and it's not about belief, hope, or faith. These are ideas that have been fed to the public as really nothing because they don't equal anything at all. The air you breathe is more real. And so, yes, we've been taught to think that, oh, there must be a creator. No, life already is. When you got here, it already is. Where's the creator? And the funny thing is that the mother's having the child, and actually from the real side and here, there's been an agreement between two unaware souls till they become new that they're going to have a child, and the child's created within the woman's stomach, and according to the agreement of the other individual coming in. And so many times there's a thing they call crib birth. That's because the individual either doesn't want to come into the body, or the body hasn't developed the way he wants to, so he just backs off. That individual backs off, and so they call it crib death because they can't see the other side as to what's going on. They only see a one-dimensional side, this side here, but anyone can learn to see the other side and the real side, and this is what we do. We're showing people how to see it all, see how it works, just like in the Matrix. We're looking at our screens here. We see the promotion. We don't see the reality. Like in the Matrix, you see the backside. You see how it works. And so all the things that control these systems, we don't see that. It's all a controlled system. Everything, all these systems are controlled. And everything that's promoted is controlled. The business world is not a good thing. It destroys the natural environment. But there's a lot of good people with the business world that are unaware. And so they cling to, because they don't know what else to do, they cling to the idea of, well, if I have a business and I make money, I will survive. But realistically, the birds don't have a business. They survive fine, and they don't destroy their environment. Neither do the animals. And so there's the example, and people can do the same thing too, if they have the awareness to do it. It's about awareness. It's not about the mind and the educational system that actually promotes you to become more evil. Look at Bill Gates and everybody else that's went through the system, and all their super technology and whatever. They usually use it for evil. And that's what the world controllers want. They want evil people. So you got Elon Musk and all these other people out there. You got the politicians. You don't get into politics unless you're evil and stupid. So again, there's the real side of it. It's not the pretty words they say. Look to the real side, look to the intent, and you'll see what's really going on. Yeah, so Jeremy, yeah, there's a lot more to us, and that's the first step, is getting through ourselves, because we've been around so many lifetimes and we've accumulated all this stuff in these different levels within ourselves that our other bodies relate to, that the personal self here, every time you have a new personal self, your real awareness is basically housed in this personal self. And it's quite a time and quite a challenge to be able to recognize that invisible side. Just like your thoughts, they're invisible, your imagination, whatever, but it's working and it corresponds to something that you want to do here. Without it, you don't do anything. You're just a pillow, you're just a mattress, a sheet of drywall, whatever. But because of those other four bodies, you're able to correspond to something here, to make something in creation, to create a cause that eventually has an effect, to where you wake up and see how this works. And eventually, through lifetimes, you basically had enough and consider that, oh, gee, there must be something more. And then the real guys show up and see if you want to step into the unknown and really learn to see what else there is besides what you've known. So again, you already know what you know, but there's a lot more that you don't, and it's unseen, and it is more real. That's the fun part. So yes, Jeremy, yeah, the mind itself and all these things, Paul called it the sensor, as he wrote his dream book, etc. And then I ad-libbed on that and expanded upon that. And yeah, it's very important for people to learn to face themselves, because we've taken on these ideas and they're just created ideas. And you can let them all go. And you can create better ones, or you don't even need ideas. Once you learn to be your awareness, you don't even need the mind, because you're aware of a lot more. So that's the fun part. Yes, thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, those are very, very good points. I wish you would make some Facebook groups on those. Duane Heppner, they blocked me a couple of weeks ago on Facebook, and I'm imagining those 3,000 groups or whatever I had, they've got those locked up too. So in the chat here, I put the 3 other positions I have on Facebook that I'm utilizing. So tell everybody they can join any one of those. And as I'm sharing, and I'm giving them to Kelsey too, what I write or whatever, she creates websites and whatever, just puts it out there. So there's so much material out there for everybody to become more aware. And we're here to try to save the planet, wake people up. But that's a big agreement. They have to agree. And it's not about laws, regulations, or the Constitution, because the dark brats wrote the Constitution, making people think that they have rights. And here's a good one, Raj, and that is that where they put that, one of the ideas is that, people have a right to redress of a grievances. Well, the bad boys, they like protesters because it justifies their position, and it shows you that you're emotionally attached to being a slave and obeying them. That's why they write all these things of a particular. That's why lawyers write contracts of particular with all the funny words and ways to screw over your mind, to steal everything you have. There is a two-party system with all the governments of the world, basically the United States, and it's not Republicans and Democrats, it's control and steal. 100%, that's the two-party system, that's real. Because you look at before there were governments and the Indians in here and the indigenous people and the communities, they didn't need governments, they didn't need standing armies, they didn't need any of this nonsense, and they didn't destroy the environment. And the world is imploding every day. That's real. Who will step up and get real? We're doing that. Yeah, we're fun, we're cool.